I have a real travel bug. I'm a gypsy. I love going out and traveling the world, but I always, I love coming back to base, which is Rochester. I love, the people in Rochester. The business community is very rich. The volunteer community in Rochester is very rich. So I see myself as feeling safe enough and comfortable enough and knowing where home is that I can go out and fly and come back and bring something that's really rich from the Rochester community out to the rest of the world.
Welcome to Rochester Business Connections, powered by Balbert Marketing, LLC, where I get the chance to chat with Rochester, New York's very best business owners, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders. I am your host, Ben Albert. Don't forget to subscribe, and remember, we don't do advertisements. My fee for this show is simple. If you gain value from the episode, personally share with a friend and explain your favorite part. Let's get started. I am here with Kerry Jones. Kerry, what's up? How are we today?
I'm awesome.
Good to hear.
I'm coming to you from my second location in Vero Beach, Florida.
Yeah, I love it, Florida. And let's talk about Florida in a moment, but to get started, let's introduce you. You are the owner founder of Indigo Tones. You are what, a color analyst? Do you call yourself? Tell me what a color analyst is and what you actually do.
So I am a personal color analyst. I help people to find the right colors to wear. For example, I'm wearing a blue that's my blue. And I help people to identify what their own coloring is so that they know which colors harmonize with their coloring. And they use it for wearing clothes. They use it for my clients who wear cosmetics. It would be, simple cosmetics that they can wear. I spend a lot of time helping people who color their hair get the right tones in their hair. And I also do other kinds of color consultations, putting a wedding together in color harmony, some interior design, any kind of design, websites, background photos, that kind of thing. Anything that has to do with color harmony, I can consult someone with.
I love that. I mean, you make people look good, feel good. I might need to talk to you just in general with my marketing company because we do logo design, brand design, build websites, but I could definitely use your help in making sure that the brand and the color palette fit the client. I'm wondering selfishly, and I'm not going to turn this into a personal consultation, but my one question is, I am rather boring. I wear a black t-shirt and currently I'm wearing joggers because it's like 60 something degrees in Rochester, but I basically just wear a black t-shirt and jeans every single day. Is that boring? Does that work?
For some people that would be appropriate. And for some people that is a good fit. But the problem is somebody like me and black jeans and a t-shirt, it doesn't match my coloring. It doesn't match my personality.
Sure.
It doesn't work for my lifestyle or my business. So, I don't try to lock everybody into the same framework. It's very individualized. And we glean some clues about what a person is based on their coloring. And, there's an order to the universe. There's a rhythm into the seasons. There's a rhythm to all of this. And my guess, just by looking at you and the little bit of interaction that we've had, is that, you're right where you need to be. Maybe what I would do with a client that's like you is I wouldn't discourage you from staying there and you're, in sort of your regular rhythm. But maybe if you're saying, gee, I have to go to this special event or I kind of want to introduce some colors, what I can do is I can say, here's some colors that aren't going to feel like all of a sudden you're walking around like Barney the dinosaur. You're like, oh, okay. I realize that this is the red and it goes really well with my black and my sort of subtle personality. And these jeans are a better type of jean than those jeans and that kind of thing. So I just sort of molded a little bit more around what would work for you. And what usually people do is they don't feel locked in. They feel like I help them to expand their choices more.
Yeah, you'll have to do my wedding or something once I actually have to dress up and change it up a little bit for sure.
Oh, absolutely. That's just a huge place where you're spending a lot of money, you're investing in a lot of things, and you just, those pictures will live on for the rest of your life. And it's really important to just, the difference between a gray suit and a blue suit and a black suit is huge.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm maybe not the best example because I personally think my black tee, my blue jeans, it's a good look. It's old fashioned. However, I'm curious if you have any examples of someone, you don't have to throw them under the bus, but they came to you and it just wasn't working. Maybe they thought it was working, but the colors were clashing their hair type. Stylistically, something was off. Do you have any examples of someone who came in and truly needed help, and kind of what you did in the process to help them out and make them look incredible?
Well, I have male clients and female clients. I find that a lot of my female clients, especially in my generation, we've gone through decades and decades of being told everybody needs a little black dress, everybody needs a crisp white shirt. The look is the straight, super straight hair. Like, turn your hair this color and you'll look younger. Don't wear this makeup or you'll look young or you'll look old or whatever. And so what I always do is I immediately say, stop. There is no one size fits all. And what makes one person look older is going to look really great on somebody else. So I don't buy into those top 5 things that you read in a magazine that everybody should do. I just don't see that that's consistent. And what happens is, I know for me personally, when I stopped trying to straighten my hair, when I just let my hair do its thing, when I embraced my colors, but also the fact that I have a more of a romantic feminine style, hence I love these stained glass windows behind me, like that's me, that's my style.
Right.
I can spot a mile away when somebody is taking a natural hair color and they're going, really far away from their natural hair color, or someone who's naturally sort of curvy and curly hair and they're straightening it and it just feels off. You don't have to be an analyst or a consultant like me to see it. And I just help them to see and to understand by working with what they're given naturally. It's actually going to always 100% of the time be a more beautiful effect. They're going to feel better. They're going to feel more confident because they're not constantly trying to push against something. They're going with the flow, if you will. And the flow is where all the beauty is. The flow is where all the synergy is. And the magic, that's where the magic is, right there.
Yeah, that's where the magic is. And I'll tell you, I do love your hair. I used to have like a big curly Jufro. It's all gone away. And it is true. I'm definitely one of those people that I don't think I realize when I notice something, but I'll notice if something's like off in a first impression. If someone like there, it seems like you're really good at figuring out exactly what is off. People intuitively feel it when they see it, and maybe like the clothing and hair doesn't match the energy of the person, but you can't really describe it. You can actually go in and make sure people are making an incredible first impression.
I like to use the example, music as an example and you're a music guy, so you can get this. Music flows to us in an audio way, in a harmony, right? Just like color flows to us visually. We all know when we hear a song that really, it's like, woo, this is a great song. You just get into the groove. And a lot of us who aren't musically trained just know this sounds good and I like it and I want to dance or whatever.
Right.
And we know when something sounds harsh or if it's off key a little bit, and it just doesn't, it just doesn't attract us in the same way. And one question I always get almost every day is, are you looking at, like, when I meet people, they're like, oh my gosh, are these my colors? Are you, judging me? And that's not really the case. I don't look at someone and judge them. But what I do notice is when somebody is all in harmony and they're resonating authentically, it's like the first time you hear a song that you're going to love for the rest of your life. It's like, this is right. This feels really great. And I'm just really drawn to them. And I find that a lot of times, I'll just be walking into the post office and people will come up to me and they'll say, I don't know what it is, but you look amazing, or you look great. And I just wanted to tell you that happens almost every day to me. It's incredible. And I have clients who will say, oh my gosh, Kerry, I did this, and the next day, this is what happened. And it's really a lot like music. People that understand music and like music will get this. It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a transfer of feeling. It's like, oh my gosh, you're just transferring a feel. I'm feeling this way, but I don't even know why. Something's just radiating off of you, kind of thing. I wish I knew more about this stuff. I'm wondering, like, when you realize that you really had a talent for, analyzing colors and people, and like, when did you realize you had a gift for this? Was there a specific time that you're like, oh, were you just always good at it? Did you study it?
Wow, that's such a great question. No one's ever asked me that before. My background was in human resources, and I spent, a couple decades in the corporate world as a generalist and doing a lot of training, a lot of working with employees, a lot of interviewing, a lot of hiring. And the reason I jumped over into being a color consultant was that I recognized that I was making judgments on people in the interviewing process that were based on the way they were dressed, the way they looked. I didn't remember anybody that was dressed in a black suit. I remembered negatively or positively people that were in color. And when I first started my business,
that's scary. Just to jump in, that's really scary to think
yeah,
about.
I mean, it was one of those things where everything kept lining up.
Right.
And I knew, my children were young. I knew that I didn't want to, stay in the HR field, but I knew I liked helping people, and I knew I was good with people. And I knew I had taken art history in college, and I knew that I liked color and I liked art, but I wasn't really great at it myself. And when I started my business, there really wasn't a mentor. I had some training in color harmony, and there were some people that did kind of what I do, but there were no mentors and continued to be no mentors. So it wasn't until I'd actually done some color analysis and kind of made mistakes and then figured it out why I made the mistakes and started to write those, and everything started to click. And then all of a sudden I realized that this was like the perfect industry for me, the perfect job for me, because it was a way for me to combine my love of personal development, my creativity, the way I like to interact with people, which is very personal. Indigo Tones is me. There is no corporate entity. There is no franchise. It's all me. And people either resonate with me, usually because I like to be real, really hands-on and really authentic with them. So I think my years, working as in the restaurant business, my years in HR, my years in the corporate world kind of suited me towards running my own business, but doing something really different and really creative and really unique. And in the end, it's about helping each and every person to have their life be just a little bit better, and it's a life-changing experience. I mean, I have a lot of clients that tell me I'm in their head every single day when they get up and they get dressed.
I understand that. That's why I was like, oh my gosh, when you're talking about, wearing a black suit, you might not get noticed. If you wear a colored suit, okay, the color better be the right color, because, you might get noticed negatively. There's oh my God, this is going to be in my head too now. But it's great to have someone like you by your side to point people in the right direction. It seems like all your work history and experiences kind of accidentally landed you in this role. I think that's important to recognize. A lot of people want to follow their passion and just quit their day job and start something new. And I encourage it if you have a plan. But a lot of times you go through the corporate world, you're in HR, you do all these things, and then suddenly, boom, it just falls into place the way it should. And did it seem like a sudden thing, or were you working towards this? I guess we never addressed, you've been in business like 15 plus years, right? So you've been doing this for a long time.
I had a studio in Pittsford for 16 years, Pittsford, New York, outside of Rochester in the suburb. I recently, just within the last couple of months, moved the studio into the city of Rochester on East Avenue, closer to where I live. And so the business has evolved completely. When I first started, I didn't know exactly what services I wanted to provide for my clients. I didn't understand their needs completely. I didn't know what I was going to, what was going to really float my boat. I just knew that this was something that the world needed and Rochester needed. There was nobody in Rochester that I was aware of that did it. Although I heard, there's different hairdressers that maybe do something with color. There's different people that have maybe done something, but there's nobody that I know of, not anywhere, who does what I do, where I evolved into developing my own swatch books of color that people get when they get their colors done. I evolved into developing my own line of natural makeup. I sell clothing on my website, all, based on which colors work for you. So it's all evolved. I made lots and lots and lots of mistakes in the beginning. I mean, if I had given up when things got hard or when I made mistakes, I wouldn't be in business right now. So I just kept forging ahead, because there might be a day when I was like, oh my gosh, this is wrong. And I get a client that would email me and say, I can't even tell you how much you changed my life. And that little feedback kept me going and going and going throughout a lot of difficulties and keeping the business, understanding how to hurdle different things, manufacturing that went south, or, just there were lots and lots of things that I faced in the early days, for sure.
Let's dive a little bit deeper. Give us an example of a mistake that at the time you're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? But a little bit about what you learned from it, and something that, a young business owner, entrepreneur could learn and hopefully not make that mistake that you made. And anything specific that you learned?
Well, I think in the early days, I wasn't really trained well enough to understand the distinctions between different people. And the tools I was using weren't distinct enough. So for example, the color that I'm actually wearing right now, there's a version of this kind of blue for everybody. So this would not make a good testing color. And so I've constantly been fine-tuning my testing style, my testing processes. It's based on, I do color analysis based on two sciences, which I can get into a lot of detail about that, and I won't, but it's the science of a color scientist and the science of the impressionist painters. And I didn't have enough distinction between the seasons. So I might have put somebody in the wrong colors. They were close, but they weren't perfect. And so the magic wasn't happening. And when I realize those things, I bring people back and say, okay, I get it now. I know more. And humbling myself and admitting I was wrong and making amends to them, or whatever, however you want to call it, was really tough. But I found that 100% of those people were appreciative, and they became even more profoundly, loyal clients because of it. Most of them, it was really a learning experience, and not being perfect, but really, I want to go to bed at night knowing that I've given people really good information and that I'm helping them. And close enough isn't good enough. Close enough is not good enough for me, ever.
Close enough is not good enough. And wow, I like art. I like science. I'm not going to take us down a rabbit hole, even though I want to. I'm just an education junkie, really. So for anyone who's like me and is like, I want to learn more about the specifics behind it, how do people reach out to you? Let's shout that out at the end, but I want to bring it up now. Like, do they give you a call, email, website? How do they learn more?
So because a color consultation, personal color analysis is a one-time thing. You only need to do it one time in your life. It's hands down the best investment you could ever make. The content on my website, indigotones.com, is very rich. I go into a lot of detail about the science. I go into all the different types of colors. All my products are there with lots of information. I was just doing a little Google Analytics yesterday, and there's a ton of people that just hop on my site just for education purposes. So I consider myself an educator. My website is full of information, and I'm actually, creating more blog content and more YouTube videos and things, because now that I've got almost 2 decades behind me doing this, I know a lot and I understand a lot. And so I'm constantly creating more content about that. So I'm on all the social media. I, at Indigo Tones, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, there's a Kerry Jones, Kerry Jones, and Indigo Tones. I'm really going to be kicking in my YouTube channel as I hit the road and bring color analysis around the world. Well, around the country first, but then around the world. And and I haven't started really tweeting, but I might have a few things to say at some point on Twitter.
That's amazing. Yeah. And right now, you're ongoing a business transformation. We mentioned at the start, you're currently in Florida. Someone might have been wondering, this is a Rochester based podcast. She's in Florida. What's going on? Explain, your business transformation and what you were telling me before. I think it's amazing what you're doing here.
So Rochester is my home. I've lived there my whole life. I grew up on Canisius Lake, and I've lived in all different suburbs, and I'm currently living in the city, which I love, love, love. And I've built my business in Rochester, but have a lot of people who buy my products, which, by the way, I manufacture my swatch books right in the city, just a couple blocks from my home. And I ship those all over the world. Last week, I shipped one to Finland,
Wow,
Tasmania, Brazil. They ship all over Mexico. And so Rochester is really the community that supported me in my life, supported me. I raised my family there, all of it. But in the course of building the business, I mean, a lot of what happens is a lot of my clients in Rochester, I'll say, oh my gosh, my sister-in-law's in town for a wedding. I want to do all the girls and everybody that's coming in for the wedding want to get their colors done. Can you do this? So then then they go back to their places and they say, hey, could you come to North Carolina? Could you come to Arizona? Could you come here? And then other people who have found me online are desperate to have a color analysis. I mean, I've been interacting this morning actually with someone from Australia who's like, can you please help me? Can you please help me? So I have a real travel bug. I'm a gypsy. I love going out and traveling the world, but I always, I love coming back to base, which is Rochester. I love, the people in Rochester. The business community is very rich. The volunteer community in Rochester is very rich. So I see myself as feeling safe enough and comfortable enough and knowing where home is that I can go out and fly and come back and bring something that's really rich from the Rochester community out to the rest of the world.
Amazing. Yeah, take it with you. That's one thing. I love Rochester. I plan on traveling. I have a travel bug as well. Rochester is always going to be my home. But if you have something good, why not take it with you? Help everyone across the world, right?
Exactly. And I think it's really interesting that Rochester, I just thought of this. I haven't really ever talked about this too much, but Rochester is the image capital of the world, right? Kodak, Xerox, Bausch and Lomb. And so it's fun that, I can kind of say this is part, I'm considered technically an image consultant. It's a visual business that I'm in. We're presenting ourselves visually. We all are, anybody who's got a business has to be concerned about their visual brand. And so it's really kind of cool that I think I represent Rochester, I fit in with the flavor of Rochester, and I certainly have the Rochester accent.
Fit in with the flavor of Rochester. I love that. I love that. I'm curious. So, well, it's a two-part question. Favorite things to do in Western New York, but at the same time, you're in Florida a couple months in the year. What favorite things to do in Florida?
So I really, I got through the last year. I had a group of friends that, we hiked every week, Wednesdays and Saturdays. And then when the winter came, we skied all over. We tried every different ski place in Western New York, and it was an absolute blast. And one of the things that, I realized we hiked a lot of new places. I consider myself a hiker, and there were so many places that we discovered that I'd never seen before, I'd never been to. There's just so much beauty in Western New York. I grew up on Canisius Lake, so I'm a lake person. I'm a water person. I'm a Finger Lakes person. I always want to spend the summers in the Finger Lakes. Florida, to me, especially where I am, it's a very low key part of Florida. And I was here last year in the beginning part of the pandemic, and I actually hunkered in here for 5 weeks, and I kind of had the place to myself. And so I can kick out a 5-mile walk on the beach and listen to podcasts and listen to my music and, meditate or whatever I need to do all day long. I never got sick of that once last year. And I just love being in the water. And I love, I have some friends that live down here now, and we're going to, catch some time to play tennis. And I might even try tennis back at home if I find that I can do it. But for me, it's hiking and skiing and being on the water for sure. And Rochester is so rich with water. There's water everywhere,
Yes, so rich, so rich. And I wanna learn more about Kerry. Let's move into the rapid fire round. Short questions at the core, really just to get to know you a little bit better. Sounds good?
I love it.
And I want to start with one I haven't asked before, but favorite clothing brand. Do you have a favorite or any favorite clothing brands yourself?
Wow. I do like Free People. It's kind of a boho. Some of the stuff is a little too young for me, and some of the stuff is a little too creative for me, but I have a romantic style and it's kind of creative, and they make some really comfortable, cool clothes, and you can get them at Marshall's too.
Love it. Well, online, in-person shopping, or both?
So it's interesting. I definitely love to shop in person. I love to meet people. I like to touch the clothes. I like to feel it, but I have an online shop myself, and I just wrote an article, and I was just interviewed in Forbes about online shopping. So I got to promote online shopping too, because it's the way to go right now. I like both. Boy, that's a hard one.
It is. It is. I know personally, like I like in person and online. My girlfriend is with Stitch Fix. And at one point in time, years ago, they would just knock it out of the park almost every time. Nowadays, it's like literally every time she gets something, 80% or 100% of it gets shipped back because they're like not listening to her recommendations. She says no shoes, they send her shoes. She says no, none of this color, they still send it. And that's where it's like, okay, I like the concept of a person, helping you, but still sending it to you online. However, if it's automated by robots, if they're not really looking at your palette or caring about who they're sending it to, it seems like in that regard, online shopping can really suck.
They used to be amazing. In fact, all my clients would tell them, here's my swatch book. Wow. Only send me things in these colors. And I used Stitch Fix myself in the beginning, but I just was finding the same issues. And so that's also part of the reason why I evolved and created my own online boutique for people to shop by their colors.
Yeah. I mean, if you want something that's literally set it and forget it, Stitch Fix might be the right fit. But if you really want something personalized, it sounds like you should go to Kerry or a shop like yours to actually get it done personalized, right?
I can definitely help with that for sure.
Now, we've talked about flavors. Flavor has just been a word that came up a couple of times. Any favorite Rochester, New York, local flavors, local eats?
Oh, wow. Well, certainly, I'm more of a salty, not a sweet, but there's just nothing like an Abbott's custard every once in a while, right? Boy.
What about favorite flavor of custard?
Chocolate almond.
I love it. Are you a beer or wine person?
You know what I am? I'm the Psalm of sparkling water. Mineral water all the way for me.
Is
Certain
that
types of wine maybe in the past, but I love sparkling water all the way.
Yeah, it's good for you. And I ask coffee and tea a lot. Is sparkling water your number one? Like first thing in the morning, do you drink coffee or tea, or is it straight to the water?
It's tea. It's tea all morning, and then sparkling water after that, for sure.
Awesome.
I gave up coffee a while ago, and I love tea now. And I'm kind of a little bit of a psalm of tea as well. I love it. Love it.
So a little bit longer answer on this one. Just, imagine, obviously the easy answer is go to your website, read up about different palettes, figure it out, do research, call you, get a consultation. That's the correct answer. But let's say I'm totally lazy and I want the information done by the end of this podcast. What's this one small tip that anyone can enact today to really start thinking about what they're wearing, what kind of tones they should be utilizing. Is there anything that a total beginner can do today to at least move towards the right track?
Absolutely. Whatever your natural hair color is. So for, anybody who colors their hair, what you're seeing in the roots and what your natural eye color, whatever harmonizes with those is going to be your color. So for example, if your eyes are a really, really dark brown and you find a t-shirt that's the same color as your eyes exactly, that's your color. And if you're looking to what to build your wardrobe around in terms of neutrals, your hair color naturally is an indication. So if you've got black hair, you're probably going to rock the black pants. If your hair is an ashy, mousy brown, and I love mousy brown, it's not a negative, you're probably going to look better in taupes and grays. And so always start with where you are naturally, and that's the best place to go. Go to your closet, look at the top 10 favorite things in your closet as it relates to your style. That's a good indication of the kinds of things you like and that you should do more of. Not in terms of color, in terms of style.
Got it. So look at your top 10. That'll determine style. Figure out what your colors, what it works naturally. And if it's overwhelming, confusing, frustrating, ask for help.
Yeah. You really can't figure out what your colors are by looking at your vein color or looking at pictures or trying to go online and do a virtual analysis. If I could do that, if it worked and I could do people virtually, I would be sitting, in a beach chair and just, sitting there telling people what they were virtually. It just doesn't work that way. And it takes people down a wrong rabbit hole. It's better to just look within, look at your own coloring and kind of start from there, for sure.
Something random in addition to this just came to mind, but does it change throughout the seasons? I get way tan during summer. Am I going to have to change my clothing attire for the summer versus when I'm totally pale?
So one of the biggest hurdles for a lot of people is when I tell them that, okay, these are your colors and you should wear them 12 months of the year. What I find is that when I have more color, because I'm an outdoor person and I do get tan, I'm more likely to wear some of the more challenging colors in my, like a yellow or a white that I wouldn't necessarily be comfortable wearing in the middle of a Rochester winter. So as we age, our hair goes from, maybe a darker color to a gray during the aging process or throughout the course of the year when we may have more color in our face, our overall colors don't change, but the way that we approach how to wear them might change. We may find that you might find, Ben, that you prefer a really strong red now, but in 20 years, if you start the graying process, that might feel a little too strong for you. So you might wear your colors a little bit differently.
Hey, if I can find my colors and they'll last for 20 years before I become unhappy with it, I'm okay with that timeline.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk with you more. I'm curious for anyone listening. Again, how do they get in touch? One, how do they gain education? You're a massive educator. And then how do they reach out if they personally want to talk to you?
So again, the best place to go is right to my website, indigotones.com. All my contact information is right there. You can fill out a request form, but email me directly. My email address, Kerry@indigotones, is right there. A lot of people email me with questions. I've tried to answer a lot of questions on my website, all information about pricing. There's a frequently asked questions on there. So that's a great place to start. I really encourage people to follow me on Instagram and Facebook because I have lots and lots of content that's there as well and new content coming out every day. I'm working a lot on that while I'm down here. So, I would say Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and my website. Really
Perfect.
Great way to go.
Kerry Jones, Indigo Tones. That has a ring to it. That has.
I know it. I didn't even know that until I didn't even realize it, when I first did this. So it's fun.
Any to close out, anything, if I had known you better, any frequently asked question that I should have asked if I had known a little bit more about you or your business?
Well, I would say that the number one question I get is, don't you think most people know what colors look good on them? And I get that question nearly every day. And what I would say is that, yes, most of us know one color. We probably have a color that we like, but imagine what it would be like to know all these reds, all these greens, all these pinks, your whites, your neutrals, your metallics, your hair color, your yellows, your purples, your turquoises, your aquas. If you to know a whole range of colors and not just know what they are, but know how to wear them and to do it within your personality. So yeah, I think a lot of people do know. Like Ben, you're rocking the black t-shirt. You look great in a black t-shirt, but boy, I could expand that into something that might be even, kind of fun. And certainly fun for your wife, right?
She girlfriend for now, but like
That's
I
right.
said,
You talked about the wedding. So wife in the future, right?
we'll work our way up to that. But you don't need to be married or having a wedding to need Kerry's help. So I'll talk to you soon. And thanks again for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ben. It was great. I love listening to your podcast, and it was just a really fun way to start the morning.
Thanks for listening to Rochester Business Connections. Don't forget to share this, rate, and comment on your favorite platform. You can also email me, ben@balbertmarketing.com. Let's connect soon. Until then, keep thriving, everyone.